My husband, he does it brilliantly. He can do all the voices.
Queen Camilla has finally broken her silence, and what she revealed has stunned King Charles. Hidden deep within the royal archives was a secret decree written by the late Queen Elizabeth herself.
Queen Elizabeth is revealing secrets about the day she was crowned nearly 65 years ago.
A private order that directly impacts Kate Middleton's future in the monarchy. Now, with Camilla stepping forward to reveal the truth, everything we thought we knew about the royal line of succession is being turned upside down. So, what exactly did the Queen decree before her passing? And why does it reportedly shake King Charles? Let's uncover this royal twist that changes everything. Kate and the Queen, the hidden bond that shaped a royal future. From the moment Kate Middleton stepped into royal life, something subtle but powerful began to unfold behind palace walls. To outsiders, she was simply the poised young woman who had captured Prince William's heart. But to the late Queen Elizabeth II, Kate represented something far more rare, a quiet but commanding force of grace, duty, and unwavering loyalty. It wasn't just Kate's polished manner or her ability to handle public pressure with remarkable ease. It was the way she intuitively understood the weight of royal life, treating it not as a spotlight, but as a responsibility. In her, the Queen saw someone who embodied the values that had shaped the monarchy for generations, without ever needing to declare them aloud. Those who worked closely with the royal household began to notice the subtle signs of a deepening bond between the two women. A knowing glance at a royal engagement, a warm smile during balcony appearances, or the rare, private moments shared during quiet summers at Balmoral. Unlike many gestures within the royal family, these weren't just for show. They were quiet indicators of trust and deep, mutual respect. One day in 2019 made this connection unmistakably clear. Kate accompanied Queen Elizabeth on a public visit to King's College in London. For the Queen, typically guarded and formal in public, this was a rare moment of warmth and genuine ease. Observers couldn't help but notice how relaxed the Queen appeared in Kate's company. They chatted effortlessly, laughed openly, and moved with a quiet synchronicity that was impossible to ignore. That day, the world didn't just see a royal appearance, they saw a partnership in the making. Behind closed doors, the Queen had already made up her mind. In Kate, she saw a woman not just worthy of becoming queen consort, but capable of redefining the future of the monarchy. It wasn't about flashy changes or rebellion. It was about trust, about legacy, and most importantly, about preserving the crown's relevance in a rapidly changing world. But while this private recognition remained unspoken for years, it was never meant to stay hidden forever. In a surprising twist, it wasn't Princess Anne or any of the Queen's usual confidants who ultimately delivered the late monarch's secret plan. It was Queen Camilla. Known for her steely poise and fiercely guarded privacy, Camilla has rarely shown vulnerability in the public eye. But under growing internal pressure, and with the Queen's written words weighing heavily on her conscience, she finally stepped forward. Sources say it wasn't an easy decision. Camilla had long kept the Queen's message sealed, possibly unsure how it would affect King Charles or disrupt the delicate power balance within the family. But the time had come. The envelope, marked with the Queen's seal, detailed a heartfelt vision for Kate's future in the royal family, one that left King Charles visibly stunned. And while Camilla didn't choose the moment, her role in revealing it has now changed the course of royal history. And now, the contents of that message are finally being revealed, one line at a time. But what secret did it carry that even shook King Charles to his core? Stay tuned. The Queen's hidden message that changes everything. As whispers echo through Buckingham Palace's ancient halls, a single act has forever shifted Kate Middleton's path. Far from the pomp of royal ceremonies or public headlines, it was a quiet message penned in the final months of Queen Elizabeth II's life that has now emerged with thunderous weight. This wasn't just a ceremonial letter or symbolic gesture. It was a deeply personal, handwritten note created during the Queen's most reflective moments, when legacy and future were all that mattered. Those close to the palace say the Queen carefully crafted this message while grappling with age, change, and uncertainty. With her years of wisdom and experience, she saw something rare in Kate: a calm presence, steady dedication, and a quiet yet commanding strength. In her private note, the Queen painted a vivid image of the future, a royal family guided not just by tradition, but by compassion, unity, and purpose, with Kate at its very core. The Queen's words weren't cold or formal. They were warm, emotional, and full of admiration. She didn't just outline a list of duties for Kate. She handed her the torch. The note gave Kate the power to lead, not only in ceremonial roles, but in issues she holds dear: early childhood development, mental health, and the emotional well-being of the Commonwealth. The Queen emphasized her desire for Kate to act as a bridge between generations, between traditions, and between the royal family and the people they serve. In a particularly stirring line, the Queen reportedly called Kate the soul of tomorrow's monarchy, urging her to lead with heart, courage, and honesty. For King Charles, reading these words brought a flood of emotions. He had always admired Kate's devotion and sense of duty, but his mother's level of trust in her went far beyond admiration. It represented a power shift, and possibly a subtle redirection of the monarchy's future. But the Queen's message wasn't made public by a spokesperson or royal aide. In a moment of rare vulnerability, it was Queen Camilla who ultimately chose to reveal it. Sources say she wrestled with the decision, knowing the letter could stir tension, but also recognizing its significance. Known for her guarded nature, Camilla surprised many by reading the Queen's message aloud during a private family moment. Her voice, steady but emotional, carried the words that would change everything. Camilla's delivery revealed more than the letter itself. It showed a side of her often hidden from public view. Someone capable of setting aside politics and personal stakes in favor of truth. Some insiders believe she felt a quiet obligation to uphold the late Queen's wishes, even if it meant placing Kate in a more central spotlight than she ever held. That single evening reshaped everything, and just like that, what was once private has become royal destiny. So, what exactly did that letter say? And how did Camilla's personality shape the moment it was finally revealed? Stay with us as we open the next chapter. The Hidden Letter. Inside Buckingham Palace, where traditions cling to every marble corner and history speaks through portraits lining the halls, a revelation stirred the silence like a whisper carried on the wind. But it wasn't who you'd expect delivering the Queen's hidden truth. It was Queen Camilla, and she wasn't offering it willingly. For years, Camilla had kept a fragile, time-worn envelope tucked away, hidden in a drawer she never opened, in a room she rarely entered. It wasn't out of forgetfulness. No, it was fear. This letter didn't speak of Charles or herself, and it certainly didn't mention the protocols or titles that usually occupy royal correspondence. Instead, it revealed something more dangerous to her position: Queen Elizabeth II's deepest belief about the woman best suited to carry the monarchy forward: Kate Middleton. What led Camilla to finally bring that letter into the light wasn't a sudden change of heart. It was pressure. A mountain both outside and within. The palace had become uneasy ground. Whispers echoed louder with each public appearance Kate made. Every smile she offered to strangers, every poised step she took despite her recent illness. The people saw her not just as a princess but as a leader, someone they could believe in. And the Queen had seen that long before anyone else. So on a cold morning heavy with fog, Camilla walked into a closed-door meeting with King Charles and Prince William. Her heels clicked along the marble floor like warning bells. Gone was her usual calm composure, replaced by a stiffness that barely concealed the conflict raging inside her. She clutched the letter in her hand like it might burn her, as though its contents would undo everything she had worked toward. The room they entered wasn't grand, just a private library, steeped in quiet and shadow. No aides, no photographers, only Charles, William, and Camilla, bound by blood and secrets. The folder was placed on the table without a word. Camilla didn't sit. She stood off to the side, her arms crossed tightly across her chest, her eyes avoiding theirs. William was the first to move. His fingers traced the edge of the paper slowly, almost like he already knew what lay inside. The letter was unmistakably Queen Elizabeth's, her sharp cursive, every line soaked in thought and emotion. But it wasn't dry like a royal directive. It read more like a mother's farewell and a queen's final command. Kate, she wrote, had the heart of a monarch and the strength to carry the royal family into a world that no longer bowed just for bloodlines. Her words weren't just praise, they were a passing of the torch. William's hands trembled slightly as he read. His jaw tightened, his eyes fixed on the page, but his silence screamed louder than words. Charles, however, was not still. The weight of the message hit him hard. The Queen's wish shattered the order he had long imagined. He stood abruptly, slamming his hand on the polished oak table, his voice cracking as he demanded, "Why now? Why her?" And Camilla, usually sharp-tongued and assertive, stood quiet. Her face betrayed a rare vulnerability, because this wasn't about politics anymore. It was personal. The Queen hadn't chosen her to lead, hadn't whispered these wishes in her ear. She had chosen Kate. Camilla finally spoke, her voice colder than usual but laced with defeat. She made the choice. I just held the letter. And as the weight of the Queen's final words spread across that room like storm clouds gathering, something fundamental shifted, not just in the palace, but in their futures. Because with one letter, the past had spoken, and chosen its future. Williams's reaction was quiet, but what was he thinking behind those steady eyes? Stay tuned as the storm brews behind the crown. The quiet rise of Kate, the Queen's secret plan to change the monarchy forever. Inside the grand but guarded walls of Buckingham Palace, emotions ran deep. Prince William sat in stunned silence, his face shadowed by something heavier than disbelief, heartbreak. He had spent his entire life preparing for the crown, shaped by duty and trained for leadership.
Our aim was to find solutions to repair our planet and provide real hope for the future.
But now, everything he thought he was meant to be felt, uncertain. The future he had envisioned seemed to be slipping away. Queen Camilla, usually composed and careful with her words, had no choice but to speak. She wasn't the one who wanted this moment, but the truth couldn't stay hidden anymore. The letter, written by Queen Elizabeth II before her passing, had changed everything. Camilla had read it in private the night before, her hands trembling slightly, not just from surprise, but from fear. The Queen's words were simple, yet powerful, and they pointed not to William but to Kate. William's head lowered, his fists clenched on his lap. The pain was clear in his expression. It was as if his years of preparation, of sacrifice, now belonged to someone else. And yet, something inside him stirred. He thought back to Kate, his wife, his partner, the quiet force who had stood by his side through endless royal drama. He remembered the way she carried herself, not with arrogance or loud gestures, but with calm strength. She had faced intense scrutiny, judgment, and pressure, but never lost her kindness. He had seen how the people responded to her, not because she wore jewels or lived in a palace, but because she listened. She truly cared. When cameras weren't rolling, when no one expected her to smile, she still did. Not for headlines, but for others. Her humility didn't make her weak, it made her real. And slowly, the realization crept in. Maybe she had been the true leader all along. Beyond the palace, life went on. Taxis zipped past, pedestrians hurried through rainy streets, and the world remained unaware of the quiet crisis unfolding inside. There were no royal statements, no media leaks, but behind those palace doors, something major had shifted. Kate, unaware of the conversations her name now anchored, continued doing what she always did. That day, she visited a children's hospital, comforted grieving parents, and calmly spoke about the mental health crisis. She didn't need press coverage to prove her worth. Her actions whispered louder than royal titles ever could. Back in the palace, whispers had started. Camilla tried to hold them off, but word was spreading. Staff members murmured in corridors. Advisors exchanged glances during briefings. Everyone sensed it. Change was coming. And it wasn't driven by tradition or hierarchy. It was being led by a woman who didn't chase the crown but was slowly becoming its most powerful figure. For centuries, Buckingham Palace had stood as a symbol of tradition, untouched by the changing tides of the outside world. But after Queen Elizabeth II's passing, the old walls began to feel less stable. King Charles took the throne, but the public response was lukewarm. His past loomed large, and the embrace of Camilla as queen consort stirred old wounds. Even William, once hailed as the modern future, now found himself under immense pressure. Every move, every word was watched and judged. Kate, however, was different. As time passed, her calm presence began to outshine the others. The people gravitated toward her, not for spectacle, but for sincerity. She became a symbol of hope, even more than William. And the tension it created was becoming harder to ignore. Across the ocean, Harry's explosive interviews added fuel to an already flickering flame. His harsh truths peeled back the royal image, exposing cracks. Trust in the monarchy was slipping. Young people across the UK and Commonwealth nations, like Australia and Jamaica, started asking tough questions. Do we still need this institution? Does it still represent us? No amount of PR spin could fix what was happening. The royal family needed something real, someone the people could believe in, and Queen Elizabeth had known that. Long before the noise, before the scandals, she had chosen her successor, not with a declaration, but with a letter. That letter named Kate as the quiet hope for the future, not because of her title, but because of her heart. And now, that future was racing toward them. The monarchy, as we've known it, stands on the edge of something no one anticipated. Changing the royal traditions was never part of the plan. But could Kate's quiet strength be the crown's only way forward? Or will this revelation tear the monarchy apart from within? Stay tuned. A new era. How Kate is changing royal traditions. As the days quietly passed, an invisible weight began pressing down on the royal family. It wasn't spoken out loud, not yet, but everyone inside those palace walls could feel it creeping in. Something was changing, something they could no longer ignore. While hushed discussions unfolded in private rooms thick with history, Catherine, the Princess of Wales, carried on as if nothing had shifted. Her days were filled with charity visits, heartfelt conversations with the public, and moments of quiet dignity. She didn't know what was being said behind closed doors, but her presence outside them spoke volumes. Every smile she offered seemed to carry meaning. Every speech she gave struck a quiet chord. It wasn't just admiration anymore, it was something deeper. A movement, one that was forming without fanfare or force. Those close to her could feel it happening in real time. The tide was beginning to turn. For William, this change wasn't easy to accept. He had spent his entire life preparing to be king. That path had always been lit with certainty, as if it had been laid out for him the moment he was born. But now, cracks were forming in that long-standing expectation. And the most surprising part? The shift wasn't coming from outside pressures or public criticism. It was coming from the woman he shared his life with. Kate, with her calm resilience and natural ability to connect with people, had become something more than a future queen. She was becoming a symbol of what the monarchy could be. Soft-spoken but strong, rooted in tradition, yet open to change. William loved her deeply, but balancing his role as husband and heir was no longer simple. He began to feel as if the ground beneath him was subtly shifting, and he wasn't sure where it would lead. Meanwhile, King Charles felt the stirrings of uncertainty as well. Night after night, he found himself reading stories of monarchs long gone, flipping through old pages in search of answers. He was looking for guidance, trying to understand how kings of the past had survived moments of doubt and public disapproval. Because make no mistake, the royal family's grip on the public's trust was loosening. The approval they once took for granted was slipping through their fingers. William rarely voiced his fears, but they haunted him like a shadow.
My father's first words on entering Westminster Abbey yesterday were a pledge of service. It was a pledge to continue to serve.
Each time he looked at his children, he wondered, am I preparing them for a future that may not even exist? That question echoed quietly inside him. And then there was Kate, responding in her usual way. No panic, no control grabs, no ambition to seize the spotlight. Instead, she stayed steady, allowing the winds of change to blow through the palace while she remained grounded. Maybe that's why people began to see her differently. Not because she tried to lead, but because she never had to. Outwardly, the royal life still looked perfect. Stunning gowns, flawless photos, glittering events. But inside, something softer, something unspoken was unfolding. A silent shift in the air, like a string being gently pulled in a new direction. And at the heart of that shift stood one woman. So, what secret did Her Majesty see in Kate that no one else could? Stay tuned, because the next twist changes everything. Why the Queen saw Kate as the future of the crown. Elizabeth Middleton's journey began far from royal luxury. Born in Reading at the Royal Berkshire Hospital, her upbringing was shaped by hard-working parents. Her father, Michael, managed airport operations, and her mother, Carol, was once a flight attendant. While her father's family had a distant noble link, her mother's background was humble, rooted in a coal mining family that understood hardship. This mix of quiet pride and simple roots built the strong character Kate carries today. At just 2, Kate's family moved to Jordan when her father took a new job with British Airways. This early exposure to a new culture taught her adaptability and comfort in unfamiliar places. Returning to England in 1986, Kate began school in Berkshire. Even young age, her calm and mature nature made her stand out quietly. Boarding school life further shaped her independence and self-reliance. Kate's mother started a small party supplies business at home, which grew and supported the family. Watching her mother's hard work and patience taught Kate important life lessons about perseverance and staying true to herself. These experiences outside royal privilege grounded her qualities the palace would later depend on. In 1995, Kate's family moved to the peaceful village of Bucklebury, and she changed schools again. At Marlborough College, she became captain of the girls' field hockey team, showing leadership and focus. She also earned the Gold Duke of Edinburgh Award, reflecting her dedication and determination. Despite facing a private health issue requiring surgery, Kate stayed composed and focused on her studies. After finishing school, she delayed university to explore the world, studying art in Florence, volunteering on community projects in Chile with Raleigh International, and working as a deckhand in Southampton. She wasn't afraid of hard work or challenges. Later, Kate enrolled at the University of St. Andrews, switching from psychology to art history. She joined the Lumsden Club to organize charity events and worked as a waitress to support herself. The turning point came when she met Prince William, bonding over art history. Their friendship deepened, eventually bringing Kate into the royal family. Kate's work, especially the Early Years Project, earned praise for its fresh, thoughtful approach to child development, reflecting the leadership Queen Elizabeth hoped for. Despite public attention, Kate stays humble, balancing royal duties with raising 3 children. This genuine, down-to-earth spirit has earned her widespread respect. One touching moment came at the 2023 Chelsea Flower Show, where Kate connected warmly with children, discussing plants and mental health naturally. The Queen recognized this heartfelt quality early on, leaving Kate a handwritten message that deeply moved her, a sign of trust and hope in the future she represents. With Queen Camilla finally revealing the late Queen's hidden decree, the future of the monarchy has been shaken to its core. What's your take on this royal twist? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe.